Hey there, welcome to Contracts and Chaos. My name is Alyssa.
And I'm Brenna, and we're here to tell you that you are not alone in the mayhem of our real estate industry.
We're keeping it real and sharing our stories, strategies, and successes in today's real estate world. So, happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. Yes, we are going to be talking about spooky scaries with a few different genres, right? It's all
Yeah, a
about
few
real
different
estate.
subjects within, I guess, subtitles within the subject of real estate.
Yeah, scary agents,
Mm.
scary MLS, scary showings. Where do you want to start?
Do you want to talk about MLS, what we've seen in the MLS as
Yeah,
scaries?
yeah. So I mean, it's so funny, and I'm guilty of it too. I've used cozy, charming, all of the descriptive words we've got. But there are some things that you see in the descriptions in MLS that I always just shake my head because I know exactly what it means, and it means run most of the time.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I can admit to that. I have one right now that says investor special. We all know what that means.
Yeah, we need a cash offer,
Cash offer
sweat
or
equity.
yeah, sweat equity or you can put a tenant back into it, but this isn't going to be a six-figure rental. Like
Mhm,
this is going to be not great.
mhm.
If the price seems too good to be true, there is a reason for sure.
I saw one yesterday. I was like, how is this house at this price? And I reached out and like, actually we're uploading information into the disclosures, the PDFs in the MLS. It has foundation issues. And I was like, oh, that would do it. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you for that. There is, I mean, and it doesn't have to be a spooky scary because I have recent experience with this, but going back, if you've seen a house that, it's back on the market for the third time, first of all, yes, red flag. Second of all, call the agent and ask
Yeah.
what happened. Don't just write that off because so many other people are like, oh, it's been on the market for 90 days and it's fell out of contract twice. It could be that it's moldy and falling apart, that the seller's unreasonable, sure. Or it could be circumstances beyond anybody's control that it came back on the market three times.
Right. Right. It could
Speaking
be,
from experience.
yeah, it could be that the buyer couldn't sell their house, like it was an offer with a contingency. It could be that the buyers decided to get a divorce the week before closing and they can't carry it without the other. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it could be
it
any
could.
number of things.
But the house was beautiful. That was a gorgeous
It
house.
was a gorgeous house. Gorgeous house. My one of the still people are putting in these listing descriptions that say, book your showing today. This won't last long. And when they started doing that in 2020 and 2021, like we get it. Okay. It's gonna be gone by lunch. We understand. But now it didn't need to be put in there then, and I don't think it needs to be in there now.
Well, and I think if you are putting it in now and you're still on the market a week later,
You should take it
go
off.
back and edit your description. Because if I see one that's been on the market, like there was one the other day that had that on the market for over 100 days, won't last long. Wait, what? Oh, excuse me? What do we consider long?
Right.
Information deemed accurate, buyer agent to confirm. Like it is your job to confirm that information before you list a house. It may not be perfect. There have been times where like square footage is a little different, but that's why I pay someone to measure it. And my client argued with me on it. She said, well, no, my original, she said it was on the deed. I'm like, it's not on the deed, but her original blueprint said one thing. Those change like post construction. Sometimes there's a couple inches here, a couple inches there. Always measure it. Never go by the tax records. But if you are saying that, what that says to me as the buyer's agent is you have not done your job and who knows what the heck is happening in this house.
Which putting that in the MLS, my broker in charge, my KW was like, that doesn't negate you from being
Exactly.
negligent or whatever the case may be. Like putting that in there doesn't help you at all if anything was to come to light. So just putting it in there, just like again, it's one of those things like it shouldn't necessarily raise a red flag, but I feel like it does
Yeah, for
most of the
sure,
time.
for sure. Do you have anything else in that unless you want to talk about, or you want to go to what we've seen scary at showings?
Uh, yeah, let's do showings. You want to go first? You've got a couple
Yeah,
couple
so
good ones on here.
so let's see. Oh, the pot house. Oh my God. This was literally my first client.
Awesome. And
Literally.
my first closing's written on here too. Wait, okay. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
So my first client was going from her first house was a townhouse. So we were selling that. It was in 2021, so it was gone in a day. And she wanted a house, was buying with the boyfriend, but the boyfriend wasn't financially tied to it. And they wanted a yard and either a pool or the possibility to add one. And they took us, or I took them, because they chose it, to go see a log cabin. So when you get there, there's a barn that's full of stuff that's all falling in. The driveway is a shared driveway up around the back with another house that has a full size greenhouse, its own water source,
Mm-hmm.
and solar panels, like a field of them. It's 100% off the grid. I'm like, okay, that's random. Like, we get there, the owner is there, wasted, like white girl wasted. He said, my wife's decided to divorce me and blah 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 blah. Like this is what's happening, and she won't let me keep the house, so we gotta get rid of it. When they bought it, because it was only they'd only owned it for 6 months, they never inspected septic, well, termites, anything. He did not have a termite bond on the log cabin, and there was a pond that he had no idea what was happening with it with koi fish.
Oof.
So I'm like talking to my clients, and I'm like, hey guys, I think you really need to think about this. Like the dream here is amazing, but you both work full time out of the home. Then I realized the front of the house is flat, but on the inside there's a room that's cut out. Like it used to look like maybe there was a sun porch or something that they had closed in,
Yeah.
and the door's locked. So I open it and I'm like, okay, there's a trap door in the floor, like like in a movie, like you would see in a pirate ship, trap door with a ring to pull it up. My client opens it up and there's a cement room in the basement in the crawl space, like its own room built with cinder blocks. It was a pot growing room. Like my client climbed down the stairs, and I'm recording it the whole time because I'm like, oh my God, please don't die, please. Like I need proof if something happens. No, it was a whole pot growing room. And so we asked the guy, we're like, hey, what's up with that room? He's like, oh, the pot growing room? He's like, they cleaned it out, but the house behind us is totally off the grid. That's why. Either the DEA or the ATF is gonna knock in your door in the middle of the night and they're gonna be looking for the people who don't live here anymore. Or someone from a cartel somewhere is going to knock on your door in the middle of the night because these people owe them money. I was like, that's where my brain is going here. And they're like, no, 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 like we really want it, really want it. And I was like, okay. I remember calling my mom as I was leaving and just being like, oh my God. They beeped in and they're like, never mind, you're right. Because I was like, I just don't think this is like, if this is what you want, this is what you want. And I'm not going to tell you you can't buy this. But can we please look at the entire picture, not just the romanticized log cabin in the woods?
Right. Wow.
Yeah, that was my first client ever.
That's hilarious. Well, since you did your first client ever, I'll do my first client ever. So this lady, I got an off city lead. I immediately called her. She says there's this house, gave me the MLS number. I want to go see it. I was like, okay, me newbie, I need proof of funds. Are you pre-approved? Like yada yada yada. She's like, I have cash, and I want to close in 10 days, and I want to buy this house. And I was like, oh, okay, great. And my team leader was like, you can show the house, right? Okay, cool. So I drive out, and same thing, middle of nowhere. It's a single wide trailer on like 4 acres, right? And the showing was accepted. We go up. I unlock the door, like get the key out of the box. And since then, I have started taking the key out of the box, knocking on the door, and then unlocking, right? Because I open the door, flick the lights on. There is a man, the owner, there in his tidy whities, in his recliner, smoking a cigarette. And he like looks out and he's like, you here to look at the house? And I'm, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Is now a bad time? And he said, oh no, I saw you. Come on in. And I'm like, oh my goodness. He's like, I'll step outside. My client's like, look at me. They don't look phased at all. And I'm like, I just don't know if this is how this is supposed to go. So, anyways, we tour through the house. She's like, it's not worth the list price, right? And he's standing on the front porch and he pokes his head in. He goes, no worries. He's like, the agent said that I could get this much out of it. blah, blah, blah. I got to do this. I got to do this, naming off all the things that he has to do with this money. And he's like, honestly, I'd sell it for XYZ, which was $62,000 less than the list price. Now, mind you, it was only listed at $99,000.
So he was gonna sell it for like 30 something, not even.
These people, the buyers, looked at me and she's like, can we write an offer? And say, new agent, I have a folder in my front seat that has the offer written out, the buyer agency agreement. We spread it all out on the trunk of my Honda Civic, signed everything in his driveway, and I scanned it with my phone, sent it to the listing agent. I said, I know you're not going to like the numbers on this, but the seller already agreed to it. We closed in 10 days on that property at $37,000. That was my first closing, and it was just
That is amazing.
it was like 3 weeks after I got my license. It was fun though.
So I have one more, and we had gotten through listing. We were under contract.
Mm-hmm.
It was a vacant piece of land that the seller had at one point started building on and never finished and hadn't been to the property in 20 years. So people have been dumping on it. What he had built, there was literally trees growing through it now. And he insisted that it was worth 4 times the actual value. And I needed the business, so I took it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I got him under contract at the asking price. And it seemed too easy. It was a cash offer, so I didn't have to worry about anything. It became like very violent over the phone, like threats. I was started recording phone calls because I was like, no. He got so violent and angry with me that I paid the attorney out of my commission an extra $500 because when I offer, I'm a notary, so I will do remote closings and then bring the documents back, which is what I was going to do for him because he had like transportation issues and stuff. I no longer felt safe because in the middle of this, literally 2 days before closing, I finally ran a forewarned background check on him because who thinks the little senior citizen man is going to be, oh no, he has a very violent criminal past. And so I no longer felt comfortable. And thank God for this attorney because he was like, yep, totally understand. I've got it. And I'm going to call the police on my way there to make sure that there's someone around the corner while I do this.
Mm-hmm.
He signed everything, everything went fine. But it was just like, it was terrifying to the point where I wasn't sleeping. Like my face from stress got stuck, literally stuck like this. And because I was like, I don't know if he's gonna he was threatening to sue me, threatening to have me arrested, all these things. And I was just like, I don't even feel like I'm doing a good job telling this story because it was terrifying.
It was a had to be there moment.
Yeah. And it was just like little old man. But then, so I guess my advice is whether they're sellers or buyers, especially internet leads, run the background check. Get the forewarn app. Some MLSs pay for it. Here, South Carolina Association of Realtors pays for it for us. Run it on everyone because some people seem super nice.
My last one is just kind of like, so one of my listings recently, we took, gosh, it was almost 6 weeks for her to do some things around the house and get it ready to list, especially right now. Like, we can't just throw properties on the market and they're going to get eaten up by 50 people, you know? So I showed a house, gosh, it was a few months ago now, and the sellers were collectors and they collected Chucky dolls and everything pig, like little baker pigs, little like cookie jar, everywhere. And we walked into this house, and it was a young family that I'm showing, and the little girl was like, she was not interested, right? Because there were dozens of Chucky dolls, like
Yeah, that even I mean,
halls,
even if you've
sitting
never
on the
seen the movie,
beds.
those dolls are scary.
They are scary. I was like, oh, I'm going to have nightmares tonight because they were on the beds. You open a closet, there's a Chucky doll in the closet, and I was like, why couldn't we just box these up? Just put them in storage.
Even if you don't have storage, just box them up so it looks like you're ready to move.
Yeah, it's because it was a cute little house. It really was. The problem was for my clients, they couldn't see anything past all of the little pig magnets and the Chucky dolls. Like, that's all that they took in from that showing. So I was like, man, and sometimes I see on the MLS like some stuff in pictures and I'm like, just move it.
Right.
Take it out. I had a seller a couple of years ago that she had a mannequin upstairs that she would dress on the daily, that she had like the mannequin had a name, like and I was like, we've got to put, I'll call her Charlene because I don't remember what the mannequin's name was. Like, we've got to put her in the closet. And she would not. And I was just like, so funny.
I mean,
You
hey,
know?
to each their own. We all have our thing, but if you're selling your house, like I always tell my clients, we need to make this feel for other people like they're coming to a hotel or an Airbnb. It needs to be neutral.
Yeah, we're promoting a product at this point. This
Right.
isn't the memories, the home that you've made it over the years. Like, this is somebody else's new beginning.
Exactly.
And that's what we try to.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's start with scary agents because one of my like favorite real estate things is when you see the business card or their for sale sign and then you meet them and you're like, oh, you haven't updated that in 20 years. Okay. I got that for the first time the other day.
Did you?
Yeah, I went to that Empower Women luncheon and gave out my business card, and some lady goes, "Who's this?" And I was like, "Oh, it's me. I know my hair looks different." She's like, "Doesn't look anything like you." That picture is less than 6 months old.
Well, very controversial. I don't even have printed business cards, so.
I have them for situations like that, but I saw a tip in one of our trainings the other day that even instead of using the QR code, which is something I utilize but have not found to be that successful with, that with the way the new iPhone software is set up, make sure your contact card is amazing and like build a separate one. I have a separate one that's Alyssa Career Realtor. It's gorgeous. And they said instead of just giving them your QR code to gather their information, be like, hey, let me text you my contact.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that's a genius way to do that because then it gives me their phone number too.
That's what I do. Yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna be my new thing. Like I'll keep some business cards for situations like that.
But yeah. People I know were just talking about where to get business cards printed, and they asked me, and I was like, I haven't printed business cards in 2.5 years.
Yeah, I just had some made when I switched firms because obviously in case I needed some, but they're not something I carry. Like I have them in my purse because actually I saw listing notes today, MLS, please leave card. I don't understand that. I really don't get that.
Might be. So for me, I know that I had a seller once, an older gentleman, and he wanted a showing to like leave a card so he knew that they actually came to the property.
I can understand that because I did just have, well, I have a listing where it's vacant. And a lot of people are not showing up when I check the super box. Yeah, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, I guess it's okay that it's vacant, but that's also I don't do overlapping, which maybe I'll change it to. But so now you've taken a showing away
from somebody else. Yeah. One thing that I'm dealing with right now on one of my transactions is the agent knows nothing about our transaction, or at least that's how it feels like, right? I'm the listing agent, and the lender has reached out in a group email, been like, do we have an attorney, right? And I've been in touch with the attorney. We've done the seller information docs, like all that stuff. And the lender's like, I have no information. We're like 2 weeks out from closing. And so I like respond and include the information and still nothing from the realtor. And 2 weeks later, she replied and said, I'm so glad you shared the information. Where are we on this? They haven't scheduled an inspection. We'll talk about that too. And nothing. And I'm just like, this is bizarre.
That's really bizarre. Like, it makes me wonder, is she so busy with business that she maybe should hire a transaction coordinator?
Maybe because that's the appraisal I told you about this morning. Like, she didn't know that the appraisal had been ordered, that the appraisal was even done. None of it. It was just like, maybe it made me feel like, I'm like, wow, maybe I'm just like in everybody's business about everything always. But
right. Well, and like, I think that brings us to a topic we need to cover in another episode of how to stay organized during a transaction on either side, as the buyer agent or the seller's agent. Like, there's so many tools, especially free ones. Like, I utilize Trello. It's a checklist, and when I'm under contract, I log in every day to see, okay, where are we at with things? Have we found this? Like, and then if we haven't, I put a reminder in my calendar.
Yeah.
Like with like an emoji, so it pops out and I know you have to do this.
Yeah. I feel like you can't over communicate, you know,
No.
and even the people who don't need a lot of communication, they're like, wow, like she is a rock star, you know, like I've not had to ask a question one time.
Right.
I feel bad when they do ask a question. I'm like, oh, actually, that's a good question.
Right.
Let me
Like,
find out.
yeah, I fell victim to this yesterday. New buyers, they want to be closed by December, so I was like, okay, we gotta get hustling. Didn't think about the fact that they're from out of state. And didn't walk them through a buyer agency agreement. So when I sent it, he got real offended because the state they're from doesn't require one.
Right.
So I had to step back at the showings last night and be like, hold on, like, let's talk about this. I'm sorry. I'm you're from out of state. This is a normal thing here. And here's what it says. Here's how I apply it in my business. So yeah, that communication is important.
It is
Listing
crazy,
agent, buyer
especially
agent.
I've worked with a hefty handful of out of state people the last couple of years, and it's so crazy to me how different every state is. I'm working with somebody from Florida too, and her listing her condo, like the things that don't apply here in North Carolina, and then explaining to them buyer agency agreements and due diligence of all things is just so funny because they've never heard of it.
Yeah, yeah,
Never
it's
heard of it.
interesting. Correct. Here's also an agent scary. When someone asks you like what happened, why did it fall out? Um, don't tell the people at the open house what the previous contract price was. Like she laid it all out. I knew everything.
Another one I guess I would say to everybody out there is get the listing and then you ghost, you know, don't be a ghost on Halloween.
Yes. Don't be a ghost.
Sign that agreement and then you never hear anything from them again until you have an offer on the table. And I had a listing a couple of months ago that I was the second person to list the house. And they hadn't had any. I asked what their feedback was. Was it too high? Did it need repairs? Like, what was the information that they received? And we didn't. Did you have showings? Yes. You don't know what they said? No, they didn't write an offer. And that's all. That's all they knew. And I was like, okay, so we just started from square one, but like,
Right. Like I always, no matter what the feedback is, when showing time says you have feedback, publish.
mm-hmm.
And then like you, every Monday, I come in and I don't normally like give them like a written out. I do a screen recording of showing time to say, here's how many showings, here's the percentage of what those feedbacks look like, here's the written, and this is what I think we need to do. And I actually need to do mine today because yesterday was a little crazy. But my sellers know, like every Monday or Tuesday, that will come through, and then that's where I open to say, okay, I think we're on the right track price wise, or I think we need to make this adjustment. What do you think? Where are we at with things? And I can't imagine just like even one of my clients went out of town and I went over and checked out her house because I was like,
Mm-hmm.
let's just double check and make sure everything's okay while she's on vacation. And she thanked me because I sent her a video. I was like, hey, I'm over here, was taking some video for social media while you're gone. And like, I didn't go in the house. I just wanted to show the great view in the backyard. But she was like, oh my God, thank you. Like I feel better knowing someone's paying attention to my house. And I was like, oh, that wasn't my intent, but yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, it's expectation management too, you know, having those conversations on a regular weekly basis. Right now, we're moving, you know, from um, a momentum, a speed-based market from the last couple of years back to a skill-based market,
Very
skill
much
and
so.
strategy. So having those conversations, even over the last 2 years, I know things were flying. They didn't really need a weekly update because we weren't on the market for a week.
Right.
But now, like, here we go. Here's the information that I have for you. I think we're good for a week. You know, if it's been only 1 week on the market and everything else stays on market before going under contract, is it like 24 on average? I'm not worried after the first weekend. You know,
Right.
it's just wait.
Yeah.
Wait it out.
Yeah. And that's, I think that brings back to like, don't be a ghost. You have to communicate with your clients because then when you do get that listing and it does finally close successfully and they give you a review, we want that to be positive because that review is going to help lead to further business.
Right.
Yes. Happy trick or treating. I hope this is something we should have talked about, but I think we need to in the next episode, maybe for the next upcoming holidays. I hope you are doing something tonight to promote your business in your neighborhood, even if it's just wearing a realtor t-shirt or something like that. Like, don't be cheesy and attach your business card to the candy you're hanging out
Oh,
to
no,
kids.
don't do that.
Like that's awful. But do something. Like I'm partnering with an insurance agent and a mortgage broker. We have a photo op set up. We have a yard card set up in her yard. We are handing out jello shots to the grown-ups and candy to the kids.
Oh,
And
fun.
just as a like, hey, we're here. There will be nothing branded. Nothing. Like I've told them if that's what you want to do, I'm out because this is not. But I hope you are doing something to leverage this holiday for your business because this is an easy one. There's lots of ways you can get in there.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we'll be back next week, Tuesday. So
Yes, come see us every Tuesday.
touch
We'll
base.
see you guys soon.